Okay. How did you first hear about Riding Iceland?
On the Old Cowgirls Facebook page. There was just so much talk about it, and the pictures. It really piqued my interest.
Okay. So, and those of you who don't know, there is a Facebook group called Old Cowgirls Never Die. They just keep on riding. And that's what she's referring to. So, Debbie, if I remember right, when you signed up, you didn't know anybody else in the group and you were going by yourself?
Yeah, I just had a memory come up from that year, from like 2019 for the Red Rock ride out in Utah. I was signed up, and I've been seeing all the stuff on Old Cowgirls about Iceland, and it just got me to where like I'm going. So I signed up and canceled Red Rock, and that was it. I'm on my own, and I'm scared to death to fly, and I've only been out of the country once, but I was going.
So speaking of only being out of the country once, what did you have to do? Was there anything special you had to do to go to Iceland?
Not too much. I already had a passport, so that was, not a problem. But I've never booked flights. The only time I've been out of the country was for work, so that was taken care of. So this was my first time booking flights, hotels, everything. It was all first time pretty much for me to do it. But with the group, we just kind of started talking, and there was a few of us that chatted all the time. So I talked to you. I had so many questions. I felt like you were going to shut me down there for a while, because it's like always Lisa. But you were so helpful with it, with getting, flights and helping us find, pick a hotel, because we had no idea where to start.
Yeah, and I'm by no means claiming to be a travel agent, but going to Iceland is one of my passions. And I remember going the first time and having the same questions, like, how do I book the flight? What hotel do I stay in? So I find it very helpful to have somebody else who's been there and can help with that. So
yeah, I talked with Patty Langer a lot. She ended up being like one of my closest friends when we went there. But she was flying with her husband, and he was going to spend a few days and then fly back, and ended up that he couldn't go. So and luckily hadn't booked flights at that point, and I switched my flight. I took Air Canada from Baltimore to, I think, Toronto or Montreal. I can't remember which now. But I met her there, so I had no idea who she was, and I only found her with the green bandana in the airport. And so we had time to get to, to sit and talk, and then we got into Iceland together. So that was nice. You weren't totally on your own.
So in the groups, you first of all, kind of meet each other online, and then you planned your flight to where you met up with each other. And you said in Canada.
Yeah.
And then you flew in together.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. For me, that would make me feel more comfortable.
It did for me.
Yeah. And other people are braver than you and I, Debbie, and they would just go. But I completely get being worried about going by yourself.
Yeah. It's easier when you have someone else that knows about as little as you do. So you go through it together. We figured out how to get from the airport to Reykjavik, and we had a little wobble with the where you switch from the bus to the vans, because we didn't know where to go, but we made it there. We had a really nice driver, took us in, so it wasn't bad.
So speaking of that, when you get off the plane in Reykjavik, can you kind of explain, I think about, if I got off the plane, say in New York, and I was by myself, that would be a little scary. But when you get off the plane in Iceland, is it hard to get through the airport or get on the bus, or?
No, it wasn't too bad. It's not huge like some of the airports here and you get off, we go down to get our luggage, and there's the giant puffin hanging upside down. So you know you're in the right place. And from there, you had told us to check the fly bus. So we went out to where all the rental cars and everything is, and we got our tickets for the fly bus. We got our luggage loaded and everything. And it really wasn't hard at all. Just hand a credit card over.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fly bus is just right out the door. Like I don't think you could miss it if you tried, kind of thing.
And that first morning, we got in at, I think, around 8 or 8:30. It was 55 degrees, and it felt like heaven because I left 100 degrees the day before. So I was happy.
Yeah. The weather's always nice, and especially in the summer. I'm in Florida, even though I'm wearing this sweater today to show you guys. So I leave here and it's 100 degrees, and you get to Iceland and it's 50 or 60, and it's so nice. Such a nice break.
Amazing. No jacket, just a t-shirt. I was happy.
Yeah. Well, for you, you can get by with just a t-shirt. I probably have on all my winter clothes because we never get to 50 or 60 in Florida, but
yeah, it's 65 and sunny today, but we had 6.5 inches of snow 2 days ago. Wow. Yeah. So you're definitely used to more winter than I am. That's for sure. This one was a lot longer.
Yeah. So you and I were supposed to meet and ride together in 2020. And of course that did not happen.
No, that was a disappointment.
Because of the shutdown. But we did ride last year together. And that's the first time we had actually met face to face. But I felt like
2 years.
Yeah. I mean, we'd been talking online mostly, probably just about every day.
Yeah, since 2018.
Yes. Yeah. So I felt like when we got there, you were, a childhood friend or something. It was just so comfortable. And you actually waited for me this last summer at the airport because you got there an hour before I did. And then we took the bus in and shared a hotel room in Reykjavik the day or two before we started the tour. So that's nice too. So you can meet up on these groups and not only plan your flights, but I strongly suggest you have a hotel room at least one night before you start the tour. And if you want to, you can buddy up and share a hotel room, or
that's what we did.
Stay in the same same hotel.
Yeah, we talked a lot about when did we want to arrive, and how many days ahead, how many days after. And a couple of us decided to go, I think it was 4 days before, so we could see stuff. And after talking to you about different places to stay, I got online and was looking at room rates, and I got really good room rates at the OK Studios. So I booked a room for 6, and the only ones I knew for sure was Patty and Dee and myself. And so I just posted on our group. I said, I have a room for 6 if anyone else is interested. And 45 minutes later, it was filled. So, and then I booked a room for 3 of us on the way back because the other 3 were touring. They took a driving tour on their own. So it made it so much easier and more affordable to stay longer because it didn't cost, I think 6 nights cost me about $250.
Yeah.
The way we did it.
Yeah. So Iceland can be affordable if you're going to do it the right way.
The thing with the room that we found, I would say not one of the greatest places, but it wasn't bad. But a room for 6 was more for probably a family with small children, not 6 ladies with lots of luggage. So it was a little cramped, but we made it work.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're booking your hotels, you have to kind of look at, what's important to you, kind of thing. But
we all had a place to sleep, and that was enough.
Yes. Yeah. So when you were in Reykjavik, you said that you did some other tours, but being just in the city of Reykjavik itself can fill a couple days, and you can just walk.
Yeah, the first day we walked 10 miles. When we walked everywhere. And then I picked a tour before we went. I picked that I wanted to do the South Coast tour, and Patty picked Golden Circle. So we each booked those ahead of time, and so did a couple of the other ladies that were going. Like, we would post on the group, this is what we're going to do if anyone wants to join us. So ended up 5 of us did the 2-day tour together, and it was really fun. We had a really good time.
So when you did the tours, did you have to rent a car to get there, or how did you start your tours?
No, we just we booked them through a company, and there's so many different ones that I don't actually remember the names of them right now, but you can find the different tours online. And we just had to meet at the bus stop 10, which was, we all knew where that was because that's where we got dropped off. But we met there, and they picked you up in a van, a really nice big van with internet and phone chargers, so you can keep yourself charged up for pictures and things. And it was all day, and we would go and see the sights, and then there was usually a place to eat, or you could take snacks. One thing I don't recommend is fish jerky on the van, because one of our group did that, and it was a little odoriferous.
Well, that's probably a good hint if you're not used to fish jerky, for sure. But so when you're like in Reykjavik, or you're doing a tour, or even on Riding Iceland, did you ever have any issues with not speaking Icelandic, only speaking English?
No, they speak English, probably better than a lot of us do. No, it was not an issue.
I was gonna add that, probably better than we speak English. So,
yeah. And we met people from back here while we were there too, so that was fun.
Okay. You rode with me last year, and
yeah,
the tour was, I don't know, I don't remember how many. Say we had 15 people, maybe 5 of us were Americans. And
that's all it was.
Yeah, maybe 5. And so the other 10 were from all different countries, Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands. Did you feel uncomfortable at all, or like we couldn't communicate with the people from the other countries?
No, I think we did good. And it was nice because Lauren and Michelle stayed with us before we went. So we got a chance to know them. And everybody was really friendly. You know, there was a little language barrier in the beginning with Bernadette.
Okay.
But by the end, like, we could talk to her. She spoke French, but we still could communicate. It worked out good. And we've made, I still am friends with some of these people on Facebook and stuff.
I think that's really fun, is that we not only get there and are friends with the other Americans, but we make friendships with people in all these other countries that we never even considered visiting. So it kind of opens our world up quite a bit.
Well, what's nice is with the tour like we did, they set you up with rooms. You don't pick who you stay with. This time, the first trip I went, we picked our own rooms at the guest house. And we stayed with the same people the whole time. And then hut night, we were all together. But this past tour, we were assigned rooms. So you weren't sure who you were going to get. So you met different people, and it helped.
And everybody always gets along. I think it's that crazy horse person thing that we just have something in common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, exhaustion, and good meals.
Yeah. So going back to that first trip and that first group you had where everybody talked just nonstop online in the private group, do you still stay in touch with some of those people?
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's some that just Facebook friends, and you just see their posts, they see yours, not too much interaction. But then I have probably 8 7, 8 people that I talk to a lot. Private
Wow.
message, or, you post to them, they post to you.
Okay.
We've stayed pretty close.
Well, see, that's just I always say that the lifetime friendships are free, that they don't charge for that on Riding Iceland, that's an added bonus. But
Yeah.
I have noticed this past season, and I think maybe it's a COVID thing, that the private groups aren't as chatty as they used to be. But I'd really like to encourage everybody, if you've signed up for a tour, please tell me so that I can add you into the private Facebook groups, because you can plan, you can ask questions, you can ask those personal questions you don't want to put on the regular page. And, you get to know each other. And like you were saying, you got there and you felt like you already knew these ladies and you'd never seen them before.
A lot of them, it had been like we've been friends forever. We talked for a year.
Yeah. And I remember, especially in your group, but in all the groups, I get some really funny questions that I understand they wouldn't want on the regular bucket list group, or you wouldn't ask on regular Facebook. Like bathrooms or showers, or, what happens if this or that. So, I love the private groups for that too, because you can.
I think for us, it was, most of us were first time. So we had no idea what we were getting into, where maybe some of the other groups are more people that have been repeatedly. So
well, that's true, because
it's awesome for beginners.
Yes. And like you and I are doing Dream Tour this year. We're doing part 3 and 4. Yeah. So most everybody on those trips have been several times. So they're not as talky, because they kind of been there, done that, know how to navigate through. Yeah. But especially if you're new, really use that extra resource of getting to know each other on the trip. And don't be nervous about being like Debbie, going for her first trip without being friends with anybody before you get there. So
you just have to put it out there, say, hey, I'm going alone. Does anybody want to share a room? Do you want to do tours? It will get you closer before you start the ride, but it also makes it more affordable to do. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, it's overwhelming. You think all this costs, but it's not bad. And when you break it down, it's very doable.
Yes. Let's see. I have a list of questions, not that I always follow them, but I was just going to go through and see, we've been talking mostly about the groups and feeling comfortable. A big question I get, and you be good to answer this, because you went by yourself for the first time, and kind of you're basically first time out of the country. Did you feel safe through the airport, getting to Reykjavik? Was there any time that you did not feel safe in Iceland?
No. And it's like you said, we saw people with baby carriages, and we saw the carriage sitting outside with the baby, and they were inside. So, and the whole time we were there, we saw 2 motorcycle policemen. That was it. Everything was... It was very relaxing. There was no worries about anything.
What about when you were in town? Were the people, the Icelandic people, were they happy to see you? Were they welcoming, or were they kind of like, "Ooh, Americans" kind of thing?
We never had any negative, attitude towards us. And everybody that we dealt with seemed very friendly. The tour people were absolutely wonderful. And it is their business, but they were still very helpful, very kind. And even people you'd meet in the street or wherever, if you need help finding something, there was always someone willing to help you out.
Okay. Another question I get all the time is, when I get to Iceland, am I going to be able to eat the food?
Yes.
Did you have any trouble with the food? Like, oh, there's nothing to eat. This is gross.
No, that's one thing we didn't have trouble with. Everywhere you go, you're going to find something that you like or something new to try. You know, sometimes you have to just be a little brave. So like,
Debbie,
I didn't have a hot dog the first time I went. I didn't know that I'd even like them. And this last tour, when I went with you, we did the food tour, and they were so good.
They were. Yeah.
They're on my get one list again.
I was just about to mention the food tour to you, and to me that was so much fun because I tried a few things that I would not have tried. And
some of the ladies did that the first year when we did other tours. They did food tour. We took one day where we just did our own thing. That's the day we met Carrie Ann, that Sunday before we rode, and we just did stuff around town, and some of the other group went on the food tour.
Yeah, I highly recommend the food tour. That was so good, but go hungry. They're not going to just give you one bite. You get, I think it was like 5 meals we ate in a couple hours.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of food. Yeah. So, so that's a fun thing. There's so many things that you can do, even if you don't feel like you want to book a tour. Just walking around town. It's a gorgeous town.
There's a lot to see. Like, we went to the flea market on Sunday, and I mean, it's this flea market, huge. You know, you walk around and you can find things or you can't. You know, it's what you make of it, really. So, and we went to the big church, and we went in a couple different places. I mean, there's so much now. This last tour we did the scooters. I don't recommend it if you're not coordinated.
Yeah, Debbie did not do as good on the scooters as we had hoped, but she survived.
Yes, I did. But if you're going to hit the curb, I'd highly suggest let go of the throttle.
All right.
I might try it again.
You might, yeah. You need to conquer the scooters. But as far as like with the actual horse riding, can you tell me kind of your experience? Like, obviously you loved it because you've been coming back, and this year will be your third return. What keeps you coming back to Riding Iceland? I mean, you're going to the same country, the same company. You're going to have probably very similar horses or a lot of the same horses from his herd. What makes you keep coming back?
We ride different places, and it's never the same. I mean, you see Iceland the way you should see Iceland. Just places that most people don't see. It's beautiful, you know, and we've been different seasons now. I missed the lupin last time because I love the lupin. Yeah. But it's just, Bjotny and his staff are wonderful. The horses are wonderful. It's just, it is. It's like family, and you're just going to visit family.
Yeah, that is something I love about Bjotny and his whole group is, and I don't know how they even remember everybody's name. I can't remember people's names for 5 minutes, but they know your name when you get there, and you're just instantly comfortable.
Well, they remember those horses' names, so ours shouldn't be too hard.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, somebody had mentioned having, you know, do you remember the horses' names? And I was like, I don't even know why I ask, because by the time I get tacked up, I can't remember what their name is. But I don't think
last time I just made one up.
Might as well, because we won't be able to pronounce it correctly, right? Anyway. But I have loved every single horse I have been on. Bjotny is so good at matching us with horses.
They are. For me, it was different. I ride Western my whole life. Never sat in an English saddle before. Never sat in an Icelandic saddle before. And so I was a little nervous about it. And I've never tacked with that kind of stuff before. but they show you everything, and they're so helpful to get everything to fit you right. And you keep the same tack the whole trip. You get a different bridle each day, but you keep your saddle and your pad and everything. So you get used to it, and you change horses so many times, but they make sure that the horse fits you. And if there's a problem, they'll adjust to you.
Yes. So, I mean, that is such a good skill, and you don't even realize that the staff is sizing you up the whole time, but they're watching everybody saying like, okay, they did really good with this horse. They might like another horse. And you know, they never make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, or, you know, I never know what level horse I'm on. They just kind of, this is the horse, this will be great for you. And when I leave, they do sing the song, I'm an Icelandic cowboy. When you leave, you feel like you've accomplished something. So yeah. I'm assuming everybody else feels that way. Like, wow, I can't believe I did this.
It was amazing. The first year I did take a day off, but you know, stuff around the guest house, and I had a good time doing it. I helped, you know, tear down from the overnight pasture and things, but they do work with you.
Yeah. So like you said, you took a day off. I know you were going to have a hip replacement and decided to go on a horseback riding tour before the hip replacement, which is very brave. And you had one day where you were tired. Your hip was tired. So you took a day off, and they can accommodate things. You know, things happen. You don't feel good. And
no. I knew going into it was going to be hard, but I had booked the trip a year before. I had problems, and I wasn't going to drop out. I was going, and I rode the first few days, and I mean, there were certain times where it was hurting, but they do take good care of you. Like if I needed help getting on or something, they would. Yeah. But I tried to do as much on my own as possible. And Mika gave me a horse that the first time I saw someone ride it, it was a little kind of feisty, not feisty, but just, I don't know, a little bit of a horse.
Yeah.
And she put me on it, and I was like, I don't know. And 5 seconds into it, I was in love. That was my Icelandic hard horse.
Yeah. So sometimes it's matching personalities.
Yeah. I rode him 3 times, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. So you being sore, though, I just want to let people know it was not because of the horse you were on. You went kind of limping before you got there.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. I couldn't ride my own horse.
Yes.
Here, but I was going to Iceland. Nothing was keeping me from it.
Well, you're a little tougher than most, so you know we'll have to let people know that. But of course, I am more than thrilled that we're going to get to ride again this year.
Yeah,
I'm terribly excited about that. But I wanted people to hear your story and understand that we do have these private Facebook groups. And for people like Debbie and myself, I get very intimidated going by myself and not knowing people. So that tool is there, and let me know so I can get you into your groups. And you know, be like Debbie. She had an amazing time and got to meet a lot of people and made a whole lot of friends. But is there anything else you can think you wanted to add, Debbie?
No, not really. Family's home now, and the dog will be in a minute.
So you have distractions. All right. Yeah. Well, guys, again, just let us know. I'm going to come back each week and do some different topics, and we will see you then. And if you guys have any other questions, put them down below and I'll try to answer them as we go along. All right. Well, thank you, Debbie.
Anytime.
All righty. Bye. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your 65 degrees.
Yes. Thank you.
All righty. Bye.